2/3 of Israel die in the process. Look at that. It's Zechariah 13:8. Jerusalem is surrounded. The Antichrist army is killing them off. And 2/3 shall be cut off and die. But 1/3 shall remain and be left in it. And I'll bring the 1/3 through the fire. That's in the Bible called the remnant. Paul, if you know Romans 9, 10, and 11, is all about this. And every one of those people are unsaved until right here. And then the most dramatic thing happens. Verse 2, this is Zechariah 14. All the nations battle against Jerusalem. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the women are ravished. Half the city is going into captivity, but the remnant of the people shall not be cut off from the city. And boom, verse 3. Then the Lord goes forth, and he fights against those nations as he fights in the day of battle. You don't want to fight God, because it's not even a fight. And in that day his feet, verse 4, will stand on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two. That's the second coming. Now I love this. Verse 5, this little note in there. Oh, it's just like in the days of Uzziah, the king of Judah, when there was a big earthquake and everybody ran out of Jerusalem. But look at this. Thus the Lord, my God, Zechariah said, will come, and all the saints with you. The saints join the Lord at the rapture so they can return with him at the second coming. So then I wrote in my Bible, every believer gets to go to the Holy Land. How do you like that? Because the Lord will take us there. Okay, then it will be known in that day that living waters will flow from Jerusalem, verse 8. Half of them toward the eastern sea, half of them toward the western sea, verse 9. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth, and it shall be, the Lord is one, his name is one. And so what we see in chapter 14 is all nations against Jerusalem, the second coming, they're defeated. The topography changes, but there's a little more. It's kind of gross. Verse 12. And this shall be the plague with which the Lord will strike all the people who were coming against Jerusalem. See, this is how God takes care of all the rebels, all the people that rejected him. They're all following the Antichrist, and they're all marching against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall dissolve while they stand on their feet. They all start melting. Just think an ice cream cone in the sun, melting. Their eyes dissolve in their sockets. Their tongues shall dissolve in their mouth. Wow. Hey, that's graphic. I wrote total annihilation. And then look what happens in the millennium. Verse 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone who is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacles. And it shall be, whichever the families of the earth do not come to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, on them there will be no rain. That's big in an agrarian, agricultural society. God is totally controlling the world, and those who don't come to the Feast of Tabernacles, they feel his wrath.